I'm looking at an iceberg right in front of Upernavik, where I plan to be paddling north of here. I'm going to take you on a trip to see the flowers, the geology, and the icebergs in the ice fjord. I'm going to be your narrator. This is Gail Ferris. Last year I started out from this area and paddled out and around the point in the middle of the picture, heading south. Today is a bright, sunny, high-pressure day. What is nice about paddling in this area, which is mainly granite rock and igneous rock, is that there are places you can come in for a landing on relatively smooth rock. Here's the boat coming into the little harbor, Gamelhoun Old Harbor, where I took off from in 2003. Just to show you, yes, they have icebergs here in Upernavik. And they come and float around on the currents and the wind, depending on which is running the show. This is an iceberg floating in front of Upernavik that has come out of the ice fjord. This is an atmospheric condition that shows the ice glint off from Upernavik, which is why the horizon is glowing in this whitish blue sheen. This is the main harbor in Upernavik and what it looks like in August. It has been rebuilt extensively in the last few years. They've covered up a large area and then turned it into piers that ships can pull up to in deep water. So now they can handle 2 large ships at the same time, which is very nice. These are the typical motorboats that Greenlanders use. And this is the oil tanks in the background that supply oil to the town. I am standing on Pukata on the southwest corner, looking toward the sun at 7 o'clock in the evening. This view shows the lush grass at this well-used camping site. This iceberg in view is a very dangerous type of iceberg that can just break up into a million pieces, which is not a good thing. And it can cause enormous waves. The long square iceberg in the back is the dangerous type of iceberg. And I'll probably go tomorrow in this direction down through here. The ice density out in the ice fjord is not all that alarming. It's about a 15-mile distance in a straight line back over to Upernavik from here. On this island Pukata, there are some interesting glacial erratics positioned precariously. And there's a nice amount of feldspar, predominantly white. And also this area is starting to show sedimentary metamorphosed stones, which is of interest since the dominant stone down in Upernavik is granite. There's my tent, the usual arrangement. There is bog in this area, and then there are some dry spots. There are remnants of sod houses. This is a birch tree growing on Pukata Island, the farthest north I have found birch yet. Pyrola grandiflora, a flower in the wintergreen family. Salix is a willow tree. This tree is growing right next to lichens, cladonia. The red in the middle of the photograph is a flower bud for a willow. Next is fireweed, which also grows abundantly in Alaska. Here's a pretty little blue flower on a plant in the viburnum family. And next is a full-sized, fully exposed willow
tree.
These birch stems are all of 3 inches tall. There's hardly anything to them. I'm looking over a saltwater, freshwater area. Blue-green algae, it's filamentous algae in the bottom. And yet it is restricted. So you have on the edge of it some freshwater plants like epilobium over there. Probably it's a microalga or possibly lichen. It's just growing away.
Lush fucus grows in these fjord waters laden with rock flowers from the glacier.
Various organic incrustations become accumulated on these rock faces that are otherwise quite sterile. Here's a regular-sized mushroom. If you don't believe mushrooms grow in the Arctic, they certainly do. Some more interesting mushrooms.
These tiny mushrooms are growing among mosses and vascular plants.
Here's a sedimentary metamorphosed erratic. Here's a wonderful example of some glacially smoothed off granite. It's all beautifully rounded off. Also over here is some more. There's some interesting grass. Here is some mist forming over the water. Clouds are starting to show.
These are the clouds at launch time. The clouds are about 20 miles away.
Here is an interesting turquoise iceberg. I'm gliding by in my kayak. The wind is blowing.
Curiously, on an overcast day, icebergs will glow turquoise or blue.
This is the view from my tent. I'm on the east side of Pugata. And these are the icebergs out in front of the bay. On the opposite side is Manisoc Island. These icebergs are moving and may collapse at any time.
These are 2 pictures of the same iceberg showing how it is turning.
That little bit of blue is my boat. But a high tide last night was much higher than during the day, which brought my boat up on top of a rock. I was quite surprised in the morning.
This is how my boat looked from across the bay, rather amusing. I noticed as I looked at these rock faces how lush the plants grow. Part of it is because of the warmth and part of it is because of the nutrients. I thought it was very interesting this Arctic willow integrated in sphagnum moss. I have never seen such a lush cluster of Polygonium as this one. This lime green ophthalmia lichen is huge. It is a couple of inches across. Pieces of this Cladonia lichen are as much as 3 inches long. This Salix arctifolia is growing in windy conditions. A babbling brook comes down this hill, and in it is cotton grass and a lush growth of blue-green algae over the granite rock. It's a quiet gray morning as I am starting out to explore this passage. I'm on my way down this ice-filled passage heading north to explore.
Today low clouds are hanging over the mountains, but it's just a gray day so far. In this area I've seen lots of eider, king eider, also lots of guillemot.
On the outside of Pugata Island, on the south side I saw lots of king eider, but here on the inside I see only brown eider.
Here's a lovely green iceberg.
You can hear the waves sloshing in and under the shallow openings of this iceberg just at the surface of the water.
Just to show you that the currents move in these fjords fairly fast. I've had experiences where icebergs crisscross right in front of me.
You can see the bubbles on the surface are really moving along. They're probably going at 7 knots. These are black guillemots. They like nesting in this nicely sheltered area. Here are some brown eider taking off. They're fleeing my presence. Here are some more black guillemots near their nesting site.
These birds live on steep cliffs.
I am able to be very close to these immature black guillemots because I think they are unable to fly at this time. Normally these birds are much higher up the water on very steep cliffs. These guillemots are feeding on aquatic organisms near the icebergs. I'm very close to the end of a fjord that ends at the ice cap. However, the glacier had receded so greatly there is no longer icebergs being shed.
These are little young that can't fly yet, so they're swimming.
They are brown eider.
I'm down near the ice cap in a little passage that ends in a couple of lakes. These are eider chicks. There was about 20 chicks that just literally poured off of this rock. This is an interesting bird cliff.
The white cliff face suggests the presence of cormorants.
Very interesting up-ended strata in this area. This is the end of one of the many fjords here in Upernavik area.
And you can see there is no glacier present because it has receded.
This is a pair of glaucous gold chicks that are just able to fly.
The parents are flying above me. They are alarmed at my closeness to their progeny. Here is the ice cap. It's about 10 miles away. It has a strange glow.
I am watching some clouds coming in to the south, and they have covered some mountains between myself and them. They've been coming in between the mountains.
A very powerful high-pressure system has been dominating the weather pattern for several days. I find it interesting to see these cumulus clouds to the south.
In front of me are some, I would say, compressed clouds. They're darker coming in. And over this mountain, it's starting to become clouded in. And clouds are starting to work over in this direction.
End of the day, temperature is falling, dew point rising, ceiling is falling by the hour.
Half an hour ago, this was quite different. The sun is shining, but this is interesting to look at. The barometric pressure is 30.35, rising. However, since my back is to the ice cap, who knows what it really is. These are eiders. They evidently like this area a lot.
Here's the evening mist as it's developed within 3 hours. Now it's 5 hours later. Everything has turned blue and enveloped in fog. These are brown eider right in front of my tent, having a good time. They are feeding, and some are immature, some are mature. They hop up on a rock, then they jump down, they feed some more, and they're just having a nice time. I'm sitting inside of my tent, watching them through a little opening in the door, taking videos, so they're unaware of my presence.
Eiders travel in large groups. Oftentimes, one female will be overseeing a dozen little ones.
This is my Mark I folding kayak, manufactured by Long Haul in Colorado. I brought it up this shallow stone ramp on foam rollers. Here is the rudder, the solar panel, the cockpit, map case, and the Magellan GPS. It's a flat, hot summer day. You can see the foam rollers beneath it. Now you can see the paddles that I have used, 2 different types. I used the Wenatchee 210 centimeter. Here is the map case with the Magellan 76. And here is the solar panel for recharging my batteries. I wore a Cocotat Gore-Tex dry suit, which I found very comfortable. It has served me well on my travels.
I'm now coming past Minnesock Island. Icebergs like this in the evening hours disintegrate. I've come around the corner. Now there's a view of Upernavik icefjord, the ice cap. 3 cormorants are sitting up there on a rock. The ice cap is receding.
I'm about 5 or 6 miles from the end of the ice cap, which you can see in this picture. It's very little of it left. It's highly inactive, mostly melted out.
This is the end of the glacier. And the water in the foreground has a reddish color from these red rocks.
This picture illustrates the color of the rock flower suspended in the water. Here's the terminus of the ice cap. It's a very inactive region. This is the edge of the glacier where rock flower and rock and dirt are intermixed with ice, making these interesting stripes. Pressure from the glacier polishes the granite. The granite has a lot of pink feldspar in it in this area. I'm sitting in a whirlpool area, just a small tidal whirlpool, and the ice fizzing in the background you hear is actually compressed snow. As it's melting, it bubbles and
everything's moving around.
this is the sound of gallons of water melting and pouring off of this iceberg that I'm showing you in this picture. I used urethane-coated nylon cylindrical bags for my cameras. I took this quiet picture at about 11 o'clock at night, and then at 1 o'clock in the morning I saw this light. This is fascinating midnight light. This area is very difficult to walk in because it had tall, squishy hummocks. So near to the glacier, this Salix arctifolia is dominant.
This is Manitak Island I'm looking at. I'm going to check it out to see what campsites look like in this area. I'm on the northeast side of Manitak Island, and this area has lots of desirable places where one can pull in for a campsite. I'm heading down this fjord, which winds around to the west eventually. And it is interesting the geology. A couple of nights ago I camped on the opposite side. Now I am coming around the north side of Manitak Island. After the iceberg is Pugata Island, where I stayed the first couple of nights. I've come around the corner on the back side of Pugata Island, and this is a horseshoe-shaped bay. A couple of icebergs I trapped in here.
These are northern fulmar, which feed specifically around icebergs. They eat marine invertebrates. When the wind is blowing and the waves are churned up, they will come quite close to my kayak. Unfortunately, when it's too choppy to use my video camera. These birds look in color like gulls, but their wings are very different and the shape of their head is very different. They're not a type of gull, and they feed very differently than gulls. I'm using my binoculars to search for a campsite. I prefer south facing. I paddled about 20 miles today. The tide and the current were against me in the last few miles.
It's now about 11:15, and I paddled the whole day. That is Sanderson's Hope, the mountain off of Upernavik,
with its distinctive pyramid shape.
and the mountains on adjacent islands. These mountains are on Nadamut. This is the reflected sunlight. I thought you would enjoy it. My boat is safely up, nice and high.
It's a quiet evening. I'm looking south from my campsite out toward the fjord.
It's now about 11:15, and I paddled the whole day. That is Sanderson's Hope, the mountain off of Upernavik,
With its distinctive pyramid shape.
and the mountains on adjacent islands. These mountains are on Halibut.
I find it fun to take photographs of these nearly perfect reflections.
This is the reflected sunlight. I thought you would enjoy it. My boat is safely up, nice and high.
On this south-facing island, Sissuarkisut equisetum flourishes. It's interesting, the various plant biota assemblages. Here is a willow growing over a rock in windy conditions. Here is an oxrea, which is edible, very lush plant. Here are some stellaria in beautiful condition. Here's a Stellaria adwarsi in lush condition, and upcoming is the remains of the pedicularis flower with sun shining through it. It flowered in July. On a bright, calm day, I'm leaving Sissuarkisut Island, heading across for 4 miles, and I have to take into consideration the iceberg densities. Sissuarkisut Island has many heavy iron deposits, and the icebergs are collected in between the passages. Some of them are really quite sizable. However, the minerals in this area are so colorful because they are iron and calcium interlaced together. I'm heading west, and I'm approaching a low-lying atacific island among other islands that are also low-lying. We're looking at Nayat to the north, and these are large icebergs that have come from Greece Fjord. This iceberg looks like it's 3 to 5 stories tall, the tallest I have seen yet on the water. There they are collected to the west of me. However, they are actually in Baffin Bay, and this is iron in the Inarswit area.
It's right near Inarswit, and it's a nice place to be. This fjord wraps around and comes on the other side as a U shape. Looking out, it's 6 o'clock in the evening, and these ripples on the water represent air currents circulating around that are a product of sun angle, sun intensity, and circulation in and out of the fjords from the outside and from the glacier on the inside. Yesterday I experienced about 10 to 12 knots of wind.
I'm looking east from my campsite. Note the glacial erratic in the foreground. This Salina acaulis seems to flourish in this area on this north-facing bank. Here I am on my way around through the granite passage behind, coming out in Inarswit, which has a large fish processing factory that is very successful.
I'm on my way to the island called Susak, and it has some red and black hematite on it. I've just left Inarswit. This island has hematite. This is actually Susak Island.
There is so much hematite in this area, some of these islands actually look bright red and black.
And over there is a different situation.
Sedimentary rock.
Different geology. I have just left.
I'm paddling toward an island that has Arctic terns nesting on it.
This is a rookery for Arctic terns.
They are zooming precariously low right over me. I'm heading farther away from this island because they are really coming after me. I don't like this. I'm heading for an island near Desusoc because fog is starting to come in. I'm worried about it.
Fog is blowing in, and so what I'm doing is I found a nice place to camp.
I want to find a campsite with some water, and I don't want to be stuck in fog where I can't see 3 feet in front of my face. This island has
an amphitheater situation, so I'm right near Desusoc Island, but I think this is as close as I'm going to bother with.
Because of the incoming fog. I'm peering around the north side of this island just to see what else is available for campsites. All I see are steep, dry cliffs and no place to pull in for a campsite. The best side is the south side of this island for a campsite. It's early evening now. It's about 5 or 6 o'clock, and the Arctic terns are feeding. They will be here for a little while, and then they will be gone for the rest of the day. I'm looking at them from my tent, where they are unaware I am.
In this little area, I have the feeling people lived. And the hummock in front is the remains of a sod house. It's an easy place to pull into. And in the foreground are these bones, the remains of one of the whales. And this density of vegetation suggests it was a living area.
The green ridges are the remains of the sod house walls, which have since washed away. This area was probably last inhabited in the 50s and 60s. But you can see it has a wonderful vantage point for hunting. There's a grand panoramic view to the south and to the east, and here is a piece of whalebone which was structured to a house at one time. Here is one of the very many graves on this island of rock. And on my way back, there were some spectacular metamorphosed calcium minerals integrated with iron. Just exquisite to look at. The swirls of these metamorphosed minerals, white feldspar and iron, were exquisite. Also the colors at night were unbelievable. Starting out very early in the morning, I made Sissuarkut in the day, 20-mile day of paddling, and had the chance to wash my clothes. I melted ice on the warm rocks, and here is an iceberg just sitting there. Looking out at Sanderson's Hope, I could see clouds were coming in during the next morning, and the dew point was dropping, finally resulting in rain and fog the next day and the day after that. However, I had a wonderful opportunity to take some more pictures of these elegant flowers, melandrium, and there was about 20 immature eiders in front of my tent once again. However, there was a long period of fog where I was forced to. I realized I had to make the crossing about 7 miles and use my GPS and go just from iceberg to iceberg taking readings. This is at 9:30 at night. I can't believe how blue it is at this hour of the night. Unbelievable color.
I've been waiting for this fog to leave. Now it's clear enough. So I'm preparing to load up my boat and roll it off of this ramp.
I will paddle down to Ayepa Island and take a course of 180 degrees on my GPS.
This island Ayepa people lived on, and the reason why I can say that is because there is a lot of grass up there and it's very easy to get up to that on the rocks.
The band of dense green vegetation indicates people have lived here quite often. This was the weirdest looking, unbelievable blue and black iceberg I've ever seen, and it was about halfway across to Upernavik. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it. Now I'm coming into Upernavik, and it certainly was foggy. Upernavik has lots of lovely wild flowers, such as these campanula that grow at the base of cliffs. I'm looking out from a Zeratok and an iceberg.
This iceberg has just rolled over, cracked off several pieces. The wind is 23 to 28 knots per second. You can sense the violence of this wind by looking at how the clouds are distributed over the mountains. It's coming from where we're looking. Strong wind from the east was blowing last night. Now it has calmed down. But these clouds we're looking at are from the southwest and the west. The
Ice cap.
low pressure system is controlling the air coming in from the west, which is Upernavik. So these clouds are forced to back up and compress as they try to climb over these mountains.
That we are looking at.
And there's the moon, the first time I've seen that since I left New England in July.
I always experience a moment of awe when I haven't seen something like the moon for such a long time.
And down in the fjords is bright, bright light down over the ice cap. So this is the eastern low pressure system over the ice cap. And the sun is able to shine through these clouds. Looking to the southwest, you can see how the water is being controlled by the wind from the east, which is coming at my back.
I have been coming and going to Upernavik for years, and every time I paddle back from Upernavik to Upernavik, I've always gotten caught with some grand storm of wind that had come across the Davis Straits doing 40 miles an hour winds. So this time I'm glad to be just camping out at a Zeratok, looking at the clouds without having to deal with the wind in my kayak.
I'm taking this picture to illustrate one of the methods of transportation.
By barge.
How to get big equipment over here. This is about the only way. And the motor in that boat is one of the oldest types of diesel engines in existence. It's one of those Arbus engines. They run forever. Just amazing. They came in today, did some work, and now they're going out to Upernavik. High winds are forecast for tonight, and we're looking at what we can see of Senesin's Hope. The top is now missing. It was interesting to note in these areas where wind does blow and doesn't, and you can choose when you're in a kayak to avoid.
When Sanderson's soap is starting to wear a hat, bad weather is coming in.
This guy is trying to catch torsk, fjord codfish. And they do it by jigging. Oh, he got a little.
Matthias Lufstrom is showing me how to smoke halibut.
Matthias Lufstrom's system for cold smoking halibut fillets. He's using Empetrum nigrum. In preparation, he has gathered a 55-gallon bag full of Empetrum nigrum. So every few minutes he has to pack this. So when you light them, they just burn on their own.
Her, de kan brænde med det samme.
Yeah.
Død.
Yeah, yeah.
Derfor jeg brugt her, som de kan ikke rigtig brænde.
Just cool smoke is coming out of the top of this first chamber.
Det er kun røg heroppe af.
That's good smoke.
Det brænder. Det duer ikke.
That doesn't burn well.
Ja, ja.
Okay.
Kun her.
Okay. I see. You're separating what burns best. And you have the hot burning material and a little hole on the side for cold air to mix in, so that when it gets to the fish, it is cold smoke. So that
To show you how tiny the fire actually is that does the smoking. And to show you how the cool air is mixed with the hot smoke air.
your controls down there, so you can really see.
Så kommer et koldt luft. Kommer den vej ind. Det er vinden.
Yeah, the cold air comes in through that hole when the wind is blowing just a little bit, just to cool it down.
Så det bliver koldt røg. Det er dild.
Dill.
Med luft.
So
Skal
the,
ikke være derinde, så skal det ud varme.
so the warm air will go out
Ja.
through those cracks.
Kun røg.
Yeah, yeah,
Hvis det er varmt, så er det kogt.
yeah.
Nå,
Then
ikke
you
kogt.
don't want them cooked. You
Yeah.
want them just
Yeah.
smoked. So those cracks are for that, to get rid of the warm air. Oh yeah, yeah.
Så gør det.
Mhm. I see.
Det er kun her.
Mhm.
Til tonight.
You'll use that tonight for the smoking. That will burn very slowly. All those little leaves.
Så er det langsomt røg.
Yes, long, slow smoking. Those little pieces are best at night tonight. We're starting at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon with this process. Okay.
Det kan holde 6 timer her.
Really?
Ja.
6
Det kan
hours
bare lige, ja.
with that?
Herfra, det er bare en lille smule
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
langsomt.
And it goes very slowly, the fire through that. It takes 6 hours.
Det er kun en lille klø her.
Aha.
Så samler jeg alle klø her. Så fylder jeg bagfra.
Aha.
Så det bliver helt ind som brød ind. Så kommer det langsomt.
Ah.
Så når jeg går i seng, så det røg selv.
Aha.
Altså jeg kan bare ligge.
Yeah. You can sleep and it will smoke all night. So all that material has to be nice and dry so it will burn slowly, but it will burn for a good 6 hours. You pack them in parchment paper individually. In 1 hour, you sold 3 kilos in
40
Upernavik.
minutes.
40 minutes.
Yeah, 40 minutes.
You sold them all.
3
Lamb and seal meat has to be smoked hot, not cold.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 timer.
Aha,
16 timers røde.
aha.
Det er en, når man trykker måske 1 centimeter,
Mhm.
så er det 1 time. I aften jeg ligger til bunden til 6 timer.
Mhm.
En af dem her, det er 1 time.
Mhm.
1 time, 2 timer, 3 timer, 4 timer, 5 timer og 6 timer.
6 hours.
Thanks to Matthias Livström for so generously demonstrating how he smokes halibut. It's quite an intricate process. This is Gail Ferris. Thank you.